The vast expanse of space stretched out before the crew of the USS Pioneer as they approached the coordinates of the mysterious signal. Captain Sarah Ramirez stood at the helm, her eyes focused on the view screen as they neared the source of the transmission. "Captain, we're approaching the designated coordinates," Lieutenant Jackson "Jack" Reynolds announced from his station. "Prepare to establish contact," Captain Ramirez ordered, her heart pounding with anticipation. As the crew worked diligently at their stations, a bright light suddenly enveloped the bridge, causing everyone to shield their eyes. When the light dissipated, the crew found themselves staring at a massive spacecraft, unlike anything they had ever seen before. "By the stars!" Lieutenant Reynolds exclaimed, his voice filled with awe. Before they could react, a voice echoed through the ship's comm system, speaking in a language that sounded alien, yet strangely familiar. "Attention! Vessel from the planet Earth. You have entered Galactian territory. Identify yourselves immediately." Captain Ramirez exchanged a glance with Lieutenant Reynolds before responding. "This is Captain Sarah Ramirez of the USS Pioneer. We come in peace and seek communication with the Galactian civilization." There was a moment of silence before the voice replied, "Captain Ramirez, you have piqued our curiosity. We shall grant you an audience. Follow our coordinates to our capital planet for diplomatic discussions." With that, the alien ship vanished, leaving the USS Pioneer crew in stunned silence. "We did it!" Lieutenant Reynolds exclaimed, a grin spreading across his face. "We made contact with an alien civilization." Captain Ramirez nodded, her mind racing with the possibilities that lay ahead. "Helm, set a course for the Galactian capital. Let's not keep our hosts waiting." As the USS Pioneer soared through space towards its destination, the crew buzzed with excitement, discussing the implications of their historic encounter. "Can you believe it? We're about to meet aliens!" Ensign Taylor exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. "I just hope they're friendly," Lieutenant Patel muttered, voicing the concern that lingered in the back of everyone's minds. Captain Ramirez glanced around the bridge, her expression determined. "Regardless of their intentions, we will approach this with caution and diplomacy. Our mission is to represent humanity in the best possible light." After what felt like an eternity, the Galactian capital planet came into view, a shimmering orb of light amidst the darkness of space. "Prepare to initiate docking procedures," Captain Ramirez ordered, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. As the USS Pioneer descended towards the planet's surface, the crew marveled at the breathtaking landscape below, filled with towering spires and bustling activity. Finally, the ship touched down in a designated landing zone, and Captain Ramirez led her team out onto the alien soil, where they were greeted by a delegation of Galactian representatives. "Welcome, Captain Ramirez, and crew of the USS Pioneer," one of the Galactians said, their voice emanating from a translator device attached to their suit. "We are honored by your presence." "Thank you for having us," Captain Ramirez replied, offering a respectful nod. "We look forward to engaging in diplomatic discussions and learning more about your civilization." The Galactians led the Earth delegation through the bustling streets of their capital, where they encountered beings of all shapes and sizes, each more fascinating than the last. As they approached the grand hall where the diplomatic discussions would take place, Captain Ramirez couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement, mixed with apprehension. The fate of humanity's future in the galaxy rested on their shoulders, and she was determined to make the most of this historic opportunity. "Here we are," the Galactian representative said, gesturing towards the entrance to the hall. "Let the discussions begin." The grand hall of the Galactian capital buzzed with activity as Earth's delegation entered, led by Ambassador David Chen and Chief Scientist Dr. Elena Vasquez. They were greeted warmly by their Galactian hosts, who ushered them to their seats at the center of the room. "Welcome, esteemed guests from Earth," a Galactian diplomat said, their voice resonating through the hall. "We are delighted to have you here for these historic discussions." Ambassador Chen smiled graciously. "Thank you for your hospitality. We are eager to learn more about your civilization and explore opportunities for cooperation." The Galactians wasted no time in sharing insights into their advanced technology, culture, and societal structure. Holographic displays filled the room, showcasing their achievements in interstellar travel, renewable energy, and medical advancements. Dr. Vasquez's eyes widened with fascination as she absorbed the information. "This is incredible," she exclaimed. "Your advancements are light years ahead of ours." The Galactian representatives nodded in agreement, expressing admiration for Earth's ingenuity and resourcefulness despite their relatively primitive technology. As the discussions continued, both sides found common ground in their shared values of peace, exploration, and cooperation. They exchanged ideas and proposals for collaborative projects, from scientific research endeavors to cultural exchanges. "We may come from different worlds, but it seems we share a common vision for the future," Ambassador Chen remarked, a note of optimism in his voice. The Galactian diplomats nodded in agreement, expressing their eagerness to deepen the bonds of friendship between their civilizations. Just as the talks reached a crescendo of excitement, a sudden commotion erupted at the back of the room. A group of protesters had gathered, holding signs and chanting slogans against the alliance with Earth. Ambassador Chen frowned, sensing the tension in the air. "We must address this dissent respectfully," he said to his team, before rising from his seat to address the protesters. "Friends," he began, his voice projecting authority and empathy, "we understand your concerns, but we believe that by working together, we can create a brighter future for all." The protesters listened intently as Ambassador Chen spoke, their expressions softening as they considered his words. After a moment of silence, one of them stepped forward. "You make a compelling argument," they said, their voice trembling with emotion. "Perhaps it is time for us to embrace change and forge a new path forward." With that, the protesters dispersed, leaving behind a sense of unity and resolve in the room. As the discussions drew to a close, both sides exchanged heartfelt farewells, with promises to continue their dialogue and collaboration in the days to come. "Until we meet again," Ambassador Chen said, offering a respectful bow to his Galactian counterparts. "Indeed," they replied in unison, their voices filled with hope for a future of peace and prosperity. As the diplomatic discussions between Earth and the Galactians reached a crucial juncture, Ambassador Chen leaned forward, his expression grave. "Is there something you're not telling us?" he asked, his voice tinged with concern. The Galactian diplomats exchanged uneasy glances before one of them spoke up. "We have a confession to make," they said, their voice heavy with regret. "Our civilization is facing a formidable threat known as the Tyrant Empire." Ambassador Chen's eyes widened in shock as he absorbed the gravity of the situation. "What do you mean?" he pressed, his heart sinking with each passing moment. "The Tyrant Empire is a militant species that seeks to conquer and subjugate other civilizations, the Galactian diplomat explained. Despite our advanced technology, we have been struggling to fend off their relentless attacks. Dr. Vasquez's hands trembled with fear as she processed the revelation. "How long has this been going on?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "For generations," another Galactian representative chimed in. "But recently, their assaults have intensified, threatening the very survival of our civilization." Captain Ramirez clenched her fists, her resolve hardening in the face of adversity. "We cannot stand idly by while innocent lives are at risk," she declared, her voice ringing with determination. The room fell silent as the implications of the Galactians' plight sank in. Earth's delegation knew that they faced a daunting challenge, but they were determined to rise to the occasion. "We must devise a plan to combat this threat together," Ambassador Chen said, his voice steady, despite the turmoil swirling within him. The Galactian diplomats nodded in agreement, expressing gratitude for Earth's willingness to aid them in their time of need. As the discussions continued late into the night, plans were drawn up, alliances forged, and strategies devised to counter the tyrant empire's aggression. "We may be facing an uphill battle," Captain Ramirez remarked, exhaustion evident in her voice, "but we will face it together, as allies and friends." The Galactians nodded in solemn agreement, their determination mirrored in their eyes. "For the sake of our civilizations and all those who call the galaxy home," one of them said, their voice filled with resolve. With a renewed sense of purpose, Earth's delegation bid farewell to their Galactian counterparts, knowing that the fate of the galaxy rested in their hands. As they departed the Galactian capital, a sense of urgency filled the air, driving them forward towards a future fraught with uncertainty, but also brimming with possibility. As news of the threat posed by the tyrant empire spread across Earth, governments around the world sprang into action. Emergency meetings were convened, resources mobilized, and alliances formed as humanity prepared to aid their newfound allies, the Galactians, in their fight for survival. In the bustling halls of the United Nations headquarters, Ambassador Chen addressed the gathered representatives, his voice resolute. "We cannot ignore the plight of our galactic neighbors," he declared, his words echoing with urgency. "We must stand united against the tyrant empire and defend the principles of peace and freedom." The room erupted into a chorus of agreement as nations pledged their support to the cause. Plans were drawn up, resources allocated, and military forces mobilized to join the fight against the common enemy. Meanwhile, in laboratories and research facilities around the world, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to adapt Earth's technology to match the Galactians' advanced weaponry. Breakthroughs were made, prototypes tested, and innovations born as humanity raced against time to bolster their arsenal for the impending conflict. Dr. Vasquez led a team of brilliant minds at a top-secret facility, their mission clear: develop cutting-edge weapons and defenses capable of repelling the tyrant empire's onslaught. With each passing day, they made progress, pushing the boundaries of human ingenuity in their quest to defend their allies and protect their own world. "We're on the brink of a breakthrough," Dr. Vasquez announced one day, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "With this new technology, we'll have a fighting chance against the tyrant empire." The team cheered, their spirits buoyed by the prospect of victory. But their celebrations were short-lived as news arrived of a looming attack on a Galactian outpost. "We have to move quickly," Captain Ramirez said, her voice commanding. We can't afford to let the tyrant empire gain any ground." Earth's forces mobilized, rallying to the defense of their allies as they prepared to face the enemy head-on. The tension was palpable as ships were launched, troops deployed, and battle plans finalized for the impending clash. As the hours ticked by, nerves were frayed and fears ran high. But amidst the chaos, there was a sense of unity, a shared purpose that bound humanity together in the face of adversity. Finally, the moment of reckoning arrived as the tyrant empire's forces descended upon the Galactian outpost with overwhelming force. Earth's defenders met them head-on, their resolve unshakable as they fought tooth and nail to hold the line. In the midst of the chaos, a cry rang out as Captain Ramirez led a daring counterattack, her ship blazing a trail through the enemy ranks as Earth's forces rallied to her side. The battle raged on, fierce and unrelenting, but in the end, it was humanity's resilience and determination that carried the day. The tyrant empire's forces were repelled, their advance halted, and the Galactian outpost saved from destruction. As the dust settled and the smoke cleared, Captain Ramirez surveyed the battlefield, a sense of pride swelling in her chest. "This is just the beginning," she said, her voice echoing with determination. "Together, we will prevail." The void of space was ablaze with the fury of battle as the combined forces of humanity and the Galactians clashed with the tyrant empire in a series of epic space battles. Ships darted and weaved through the chaos, their weapons blazing as they fought tooth and nail for survival. On the bridge of the USS Pioneer, Captain Ramirez barked orders to her crew, her eyes fixed on the view screen as they maneuvered through the fray. "Keep those enemy fighters off our tail," she commanded, her voice ringing with authority. Lieutenant Reynolds nodded grimly, his hands flying across the controls as he piloted the ship with precision. "Aye, Captain, we're on it." Meanwhile, aboard the flagship of the Galactian fleet, Admiral Rakal coordinated the efforts of his forces with strategic brilliance. "Focus fire on their capital ships," he ordered, his voice steady, despite the chaos raging around them. The Galactian crews worked in unison, their weapons unleashing devastating barrages against the enemy vessels. Explosions lit up the darkness of space as the tyrant empire's ships were torn apart by the relentless onslaught. Despite facing overwhelming odds, humanity's ingenuity and determination shone through as they adapted to the ever-changing battlefield. Dr. Vasquez's latest innovations proved to be invaluable, turning the tide of battle in their favor with their cutting-edge technology. "We've breached their defenses," she exclaimed, her eyes alight with excitement as she monitored the progress of their newest weapon systems. "Keep up the pressure." As the battle raged on, each victory strengthened the bond between Earth and the Galactians, forging a camaraderie born of shared sacrifice and triumph. Crews from both sides fought side by side, their resolve unwavering as they fought for their freedom and the future of the galaxy. But amidst the chaos of battle, a dilemma arose as the tyrant empire unleashed a devastating new weapon, threatening to turn the tide of war in their favor. "We can't let them gain the upper hand," Captain Ramirez declared, her voice resolute as she formulated a daring plan of attack. With the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance, Earth and the Galactians launched a desperate assault on the enemy stronghold, risking everything in a bid to secure victory. In a climactic showdown, the combined forces of humanity and the Galactians emerged triumphant, their courage and determination overcoming even the most insurmountable of odds. As the smoke cleared and the debris settled, a sense of relief washed over the battlefield as Earth and the Galactians celebrated their hard-fought victory. But even as they rejoiced, they knew that the fight was far from over. The Tyrant Empire may have been defeated, but the galaxy was vast, and new challenges awaited them on the horizon. With renewed resolve, humanity and the Galactians stood ready to face whatever dangers lay ahead, united in their determination to build a future of peace and prosperity for all. The universe was ablaze with the chaos of war as humanity and the Galactians faced off against the relentless onslaught of the Tyrant Empire. In the heat of battle, courageous soldiers and brave civilians alike sacrificed everything in the fight for freedom and survival. On the front lines, Captain Ramirez led her crew with unwavering determination, her voice ringing out over the comm system. "Hold the line, everyone. We can't let them break through." Lieutenant Reynolds nodded grimly, his fingers flying across the controls as he maneuvered the USS Pioneer through the swirling maelstrom of combat. "We've got incoming fighters at 3 o'clock, Captain," he reported, his voice tense with anticipation. Captain Ramirez gritted her teeth, her eyes scanning the viewscreen for any sign of weakness in the enemy's defenses. "Fire at will," she ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos raging around them. As the battle raged on, humanity's resilience and adaptability proved to be their greatest assets. Despite facing overwhelming odds, they refused to back down, using every ounce of their ingenuity to outmaneuver and outsmart the Tyrant Empire at every turn. In a daring gambit, Dr. Vasquez and her team developed a new weapon system capable of penetrating the enemy's shields, turning the tide of battle in humanity's favor. "It's working!" she exclaimed, her eyes alight with excitement as they unleashed their devastating new arsenal against the enemy. But even as they celebrated their victories, the cost of war weighed heavily on their hearts. Brave soldiers fell in battle, their sacrifices echoing across the stars. Families mourned the loss of loved ones, their grief a somber reminder of the true cost of freedom. Amidst the chaos, a moment of clarity emerged as Earth and the Galactians rallied together for one final push against the Tyrant Empire. With the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance, they prepared for the climactic showdown that would determine the course of history. As the battle reached its zenith, Earth's forces launched a daring assault on the heart of the Tyrant Empire's stronghold. The sounds of war echoed through the void of space as ships clashed in a spectacular display of firepower. But amidst the chaos, a glimmer of hope emerged as humanity and the Galactians fought side by side, their spirits soaring as they faced down their oppressors with unwavering resolve. In a moment of triumph, Earth and the Galactians achieved a decisive victory over the Tyrant Empire, their courage and perseverance paving the way for peace and stability in the galaxy. The Tyrant Empire's reign of terror was finally brought to an end, its forces vanquished and its grip on the galaxy shattered. As the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded into the void, humanity and the Galactians stood united, their spirits soaring as they celebrated their hard-won victory. Together, they had faced the darkest of days and emerged stronger than ever, ready to build a future of peace and prosperity for all. With the Tyrant Empire vanquished and peace restored to the galaxy, humanity's legacy was forever changed. Earth, once a small blue speck in the vastness of space, now stood as a beacon of hope and inspiration to civilizations across the stars. In the aftermath of the conflict, Ambassador Chen found himself at the center of a whirlwind of diplomatic activity. Delegations from countless worlds sought to forge alliances with Earth, eager to learn from humanity's triumph over adversity. "We never imagined our little planet would become so popular," Ambassador Chen remarked with a chuckle as he greeted yet another group of alien dignitaries. Across the galaxy, tales of humanity's bravery and heroism spread like wildfire, earning them the title, "Humanity, What Have You Done?" It became a rallying cry for civilizations seeking to emulate Earth's example of courage and resilience in the face of insurmountable odds. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted in cities and towns across the globe as people rejoiced in their newfound status as members of the Galactic community. Streets were filled with laughter and music as humanity basked in the glow of their hard-won victory. But amidst the festivities, Captain Ramirez and her crew found themselves grappling with the weight of their newfound fame. "Who would have thought we'd become heroes?" Lieutenant Reynolds remarked with a grin, as they were swarmed by adoring fans during a victory parade. Captain Ramirez chuckled, her heart swelling with pride as she looked out at the sea of smiling faces. "We may have saved the galaxy, but let's not forget to take out the trash when we get back to the ship," she joked, earning a round of laughter from her crew. As the celebrations continued, Earth's leaders worked tirelessly to solidify their place in the galactic community, forging alliances and treaties with other civilizations. The lessons learned from their conflict with the Tyrant Empire served as a guiding light, helping them navigate the complexities of interstellar diplomacy with grace and humility. In the years that followed, Earth flourished, its influence spreading far and wide as they shared their knowledge and expertise with their newfound allies. From scientific discoveries to cultural exchange programs, humanity's contributions to the galaxy were felt in every corner of the cosmos. But amidst the accolades and adoration, Captain Ramirez and her crew remained humble, knowing that their greatest legacy was not in the battles they won or the enemies they defeated, but in the bonds of friendship and cooperation they forged with their fellow beings. And so, as the sun set on another day in the galaxy, humanity looked towards the future with hope and optimism, secure in the knowledge that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together as one united and indomitable force.